Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mini Mindful Moment number 24. The topic for this session is, what do birth and death have to do with leadership? This has got to be one of my favorite topics and something I've been thinking about sharing with you for quite a while. This session is recorded, so if you have questions or comments, please add those to the comment section below, and I'll respond there to whatever comes up. Because is a recorded session and I'm kind of cramming it in. I don't have any slides like I normally do to share with you today. So I'm just going to share some information, and then we're going to go into a mindfulness practice that will give you an experience of birth and death and what that has to do with leadership. So I am Karen Tax, soon to be not Karen Tax. I'm getting rid of that last name. And I am an executive coach and business consultant. I focus on leadership, culture, and strategy. And with the IMX approach that I've developed, I guide leaders at all levels of organizations to discover how to show up. I think of it as a warrior with a sword of power, but it's a sword of healthy power while facing complex and demanding situations. So one of the ways I do this is by guiding people through mindfulness practices that develop your leadership capacity to be open to outcomes that are better than our wee little minds can imagine. I don't care how smart you are, and I tend to work with very, very smart people. There are things that we just cannot conceive of simply with our rational minds. And this is where the topic of birth and death become very important as we learn to open to greater possibilities than we can think ourselves to. So we need to embrace death and walk into the unknown if we want to discover our full potential as human beings and as leaders. But in our society, our aversion to death keeps us, I think of it as kind of boxed in or trapped in fear, averse to risk, and caught in patterns of behavior that feel safe and predictable, reassuring even. It's like we get into these mental loops inside ourselves and with each other that are, closed systems. But this doesn't allow for the birth of new possibilities. So an example of this is a need to be right. When you're not truly open to the ideas of others, and I see people do this all the time. Yeah, I'm open, but you're not really open. What does it look like to be really, really, really open to something that might influence you, especially when things are uncertain and complex and really tricky, right? So every time we let go of our attachment to something, like that need to be right, we die a little death that allows us to open ourselves, starting with us, to something new, and then with others that we couldn't have imagined before. So gardening has taught me that I don't have to be afraid of death and endings, and that and I can see that something new will always emerge. So in the garden, change is constant. I mean, you can see it. This is true with all of life, but it just becomes so much clearer when you're working with a garden. So change is constant, with things dying and being born every day. And in a garden, you can see and experience how life is relentless. It's just moving constantly. But when you're not able to trust the resilience of life, when you're afraid of death and endings, it can make letting go of attachments impossible. And so the result is that progress on work that we're doing, or whatever it is, it gets jammed up. And in workplaces, this most often takes the form of egos clashing or turf wars or micromanaging. And these are all behaviors that create incredible amounts of waste in business, and again in our personal lives too. So I want to share with you an example, a blatant example of how this kind of waste happened when I was a human resources business partner at Nortel Networks, and I was focusing on organization development. I was consulting on an internal supply chain reengineering project that executives knew was failing. I was hired on and I was put on this project, and I was brought in to find out why it was failing. So things had gotten really bad. There was an underground newsletter where employees aired their grievances. I mean, it was newsy, but it was also a place for the real stuff to peek out. um, the employees hadn't found anyone willing to listen who could actually change things. Of course, I was trying to do that, but it was big. I read back issues of the newsletter. I talked with people in the trenches. I talked with executives. And ultimately, I wrote a report detailing the need for executives to start cooperating across functional areas. And I detailed how the new systems in the project, it was, internal supply chain, how these different systems needed to connect and share information between the functional areas of the organization, and how the new systems weren't working together because of confusion, disagreements, silo thinking caused by executive egos clashing and turf wars. Eventually, we unearthed. I ended up having to get, more senior executives involved, more senior than me, to get the information we really needed to know, including accounting. What were the finances with this, and pulling all that together, we were able to show that this project would never be viable. Crazy. And again, executives knew this project was failing. They knew it was important, and I ended up very specifically laying out how the executives were contributing to issues, and that they couldn't take responsibility for their behavior and become more cooperative. I mean, it got spelled out what was going on here. Eventually, everyone finally agreed to shut down the project. No more. $50 million had been spent. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I wish it was 50 million. It was $150 million had been spent. It still boggles my mind. We held a funeral. People came, they brought in, I had a box I carried around with me for years where I kept everything from the funeral. We captured learnings. We tried to have this be something that informed future work, but no business unit executives were involved in this gathering of lessons learned, and no change happened at the top as a result of this work. So 10 years later, after we closed all this down, this 100-year-old company that once had a market capitalization of over $200 billion and a $30 billion in sales and over 100,000 employees worldwide, they went bankrupt. You can find videos on YouTube about all of this. It's crazy. Not only did the bankruptcy destroy the company, employees' pensions, it also caused the Canadian stock market to crash at one point. I couldn't find exactly what the date was, but the impact was deep and broad. So if Nortel executives have been able to function beyond their egos and their fear, let go of their fear and their attachments to the turf and their, all the things they were attached to, and cooperate more, what might have been possible instead? So since my time at Nortel, I've used coaching and gardening and applied meditation, which I call that mindfulness, to both learn about and experience letting go of attachment and opening to new possibilities for myself. I realized I had to learn how to do this stuff, and also to be able to work with letting go in this way with my clients. And so the best way to learn anything is through experience, right? Then we get it deep in our bones, and especially with something as scary as letting go of an attachment you're hanging on to. Because frankly, you're scared. You're hanging on because you're scared. There's fear there. And after letting go and letting yourself experience that little death, you can then step into the unknown and explore what might be possible there. So, here are some examples of attachment that you can use to help you recognize when it could be useful to let go of something. Okay. And I'll give you an experience of this in the mindfulness so you can actually feel it in your body and your being. Okay. So, needing to be right, big for experts and technically minded people. Getting defensive, resignation, it is what it is. Having difficulty with surprises, or becoming controlling and rigid, which it's good to know when you become like that, and we all do this. This is the opposite of trusting. You're not trusting yourself and you're not trusting others. You can also notice when your team is locked in patterns that don't work, like power struggles and turf wars and silo thinking and people hesitating to speak up. So these patterns are indicators that attachment is negatively affecting group dynamics. And patterns of attachment can also cause harm. So you can know that you're causing harm when you consciously ignore people or situations that aren't working. So, for example, I recently told a person that I was trying to communicate with that I had had a panic attack as a result of our difficult interactions, and I needed some space for recovery. And I had very specific needs for re engaging. Like, she was open, wanted to talk, and I was like, okay, great, thank you. I appreciate that. And this happened, and I'm working through it, and this is what I need. So, that feedback that I shared, when I heard back about how it was heard, this person thought I was being rude by sharing this. I was being super vulnerable. She thought I was being rude, and she just wrote me off. It's like, oh, she didn't actually understand what I was doing. So this kind of judgment and ignoring a person's needs for safety causes harm, and it causes an unsafe environment. So you can know that you are in a state of non-attachment not attached, but open, when you are aware of your point of an attachment, and you can have a sense of humor about it and an ability to be flexible, which is really tricky when you are not feeling safe. Like, it takes work to get through that, to get back to a point of feeling open and flexible and having a sense of humor about it, right? Let's be real. It's hard. And non-attachment is the same as detachment. When you're detached, you're not attached, obviously. So this is the capacity to care deeply from an objective place where you can see your attachments. It's like you're able to come out of yourself and look and say, oh, I'm attached in this way, these particular ways. So letting go and detachment prepares us for dealing with uncertainty and unfamiliar experiences in resilient and creative ways. It's all so good. It's such good stuff for us, territory for us to be exploring and working in. So my experience at Nortel was a huge project that failed. And these kinds of dynamics happen every day in smaller ways. And so our reactions to everyday experiences can teach us if we bring some awareness in, if we bring some mindfulness in, it can teach us how to let go of attachment. And it also even teaches us how to prepare for death. So, for example, the ways that you can orient yourself with this, are you approaching something new or different with curiosity and wonder or excitement? Are you handling the unexpected and unfamiliar by becoming controlling, judgmental, blaming, and fearful, rigid? It's got to be like this. This is my perspective. I'm right. This is how it be. This is how it has to be. And if it's not like this, it's wrong. Whew, I've had a big dose of this recently. It's intense. So, bottom line here, you'll need to be able to navigate territories of fear and loss inside of yourself to be able to give birth to new aspects of your humanity, being human, and your leadership potential. So, giving yourself the opportunity to experience the little deaths that are a normal part of change and life is how you can learn how to do this and make it real. And then when you can do this for yourself personally, then you can navigate how death and birth can benefit your team and organization. Very specifically, like letting go of what you don't need to be wasting time on, such as power struggles and fixed perspectives and the need to be right. Letting go of those things. And this letting go will free up resources that you can then use to invest energy into creating the results that you want to see. And more often, something better than you could have imagined when you do it in this way that I'm describing. So, very exciting stuff. And as we dive into today's mindfulness practice about what birth and death have to do with leadership, I want you to consider what you might be attached to and how it might serve you to let that go, which it doesn't mean giving up, doesn't mean that you don't care, none of that. All right. So let's go ahead and go into a mindfulness practice now and explore what might be possible as we play with these territories. So let yourself go ahead and fully arrive in our practice together, knowing that all of you is welcome here. All of your thoughts and all of your feelings. And go ahead and notice your breath, your breathing in and out, letting your in and out breath calm your nervous system and bring you to your center, wherever you feel the core of your aliveness within your body. Don't worry if you can't figure this out right away. Just know that it's there. And so I want you to notice your body as a whole as you're breathing in and out, noticing your breath. Notice your whole body from head to toes. And notice the aliveness that's in your body, your life force energy that's always here, mostly without you noticing. Let yourself feel the wholeness of your aliveness in your body. And now I want you to notice what you're thinking, your mind, those things that you're not getting to maybe because you're here, right? That gotta do lurks, always lurks. So in this moment, all the things you need to do, they can wait. And plant your feet on the ground. Let yourself feel the weight of the wholeness of your body sink down into your chair. And let yourself feel held by the earth. Like, notice how your body feels connected to the earth by the magnetic pull from the earth. Let yourself feel gravity. Noticing the energy in your body, this precious life force energy. Just let it drop down into the ground, through the bottom of your feet into the ground. Deep into the earth. And as you're continuing to let your energy drop, notice how new energy is coming in. It could be coming up from the earth. It could be coming from above, wherever. Let yourself relax in this process of being held by the earth and receiving energy. And relax your shoulders and head, your neck and spine. Relax and open your chest all the way down your torso, belly, hips. Relax down into your legs and your feet. And relax your mind as it connects with your nervous system throughout your body. Just feel the relaxing and energy permeating, new energy coming in and permeating through your whole body. Now breathe deeply into your belly and let your breath find your center. Again, here that wherever that it feels like, you can think of it as a place where things feel balanced within you. There's a lot of different ways you can sense this. So just whatever, sometimes for me, it's a thread of light. Other times it's a ball of energy, like whatever the center feels like to you, where things feel coherent and whole and balanced. Just feel that. And keep breathing and noticing your breath. And feel the spaciousness that's here. We're in a kind of natural time now, accessing the aspects of us and life that are abundant and connected. From our center, we are everything, connected with everything. Don't try to figure it out. Just let it be. And let your thoughts settle from this being centered, like mud in a pond or a lake. Just let your thoughts settle. The more you let your mental activity drop out of your head, and the more you breathe into your center, the more clear your mind can become. Your thoughts can be natural here, right? You don't need to wrestle with them or make them go away. Just let them be and let them settle. We're not trying to quiet our minds here. We're just letting our thoughts settle. So keep breathing into your center, letting everything that's feeling heavy in this moment drop down into the ground with the grounding that's happening. Letting your energy move how it wants to move. As it moves, that fresh new energy is coming through, new life coming in always. No worries if you don't feel anything in particular. Just know that all of this is happening as I'm talking you through it and being with you through it. I'm with you. So tune into whatever quietness is here. Feel the mental peace that might be just a little sliver of it, might be a lot. The more you practice, the more you'll experience it. Notice how you can be mentally at peace. So notice your heart now. Your heart, the quality of energy you feel around and through your heart. And notice any feelings that are here naturally floating around. Anxious, sad, confused. Oop, that's mental. Angry. Just let these feelings settle. Keep breathing into your center, letting any heavy feelings also drop down into the ground. While at the same time, letting your heart feel full with aliveness. Got all of this new energy coming through, all of this aliveness that you're tapping into. Oh, and maybe let yourself feel some gratitude for the precious gift of being alive. Noticing your settled mind and full heart. Whatever thoughts and feelings are still floating around, it's fine that they're here. And yet, noticing how your breath and energy holds your mind and heart as one. I swallowed funny there. Here you can access the clarity of your wise mind, where you can see truly what matters to you, what's actually important. Head, heart, together, wise mind. So now I want you to bring to mind a situation where you're struggling. You're feeling reactive and attached in some way. You're feeling that holding. Could be needing to be right, defensive, controlling, not trusting. And don't worry about the fact that this is happening, right? We all have situations we struggle with and we all get attached. So just know this is so normal. And with this situation, what outcome are you attached to? Just what is it? And let yourself feel how important this outcome is to you. And notice how you're still breathing, maybe a little more shallow now. And notice how you can still breathe and relax. Ah, I'm attached. It's important. And I'm breathing and I'm relaxing. Notice your aliveness. As you notice it, it can actually puff up and feel even more. And so, as you're breathing and relaxing, let yourself simply accept that you have found a point of attachment and bring your awareness to this point of attachment. Pick one thing and that's it. Defensive, controlling, whatever. And now I want you to remember that you are loved, deeply and unconditionally loved, infinitely and eternally loved. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not, it is true. And let yourself soak in that and take it in as much as you can. Let yourself receive this love. And now I want you to bring this loving and compassionate awareness to your point of attachment. Defensive, controlling, rigid, resigned, whatever. And notice what happens. Awareness, attachment, together. We're not trying to make anything happen, just simply notice. Now, consider that this point of attachment and this outcome that you want is not the only possibility. Here you are holding, and there's more. As you are holding on to what deeply matters to you, let yourself hold on to that. Holding on to what deeply matters and is deeply important, both. You may hear my dog whining in the background. He's hearing stuff outside. That's here too. Knowing from the center of who you are that you are wise beyond measure. And then, as you can, let go of this attachment to outcome. Not trying to do anything, we're just letting it go. And notice what happens. Notice what it feels like to be detached. It can feel like inside, it can feel like you're falling or floating or out of control. There's a lot of ways this can feel. So just let that happen. And also let yourself feel held. You're still grounded, you're still breathing, you're still alive. Just let yourself be detached as you can. And notice what it feels like in this moment to not know what might happen next now that you've let go. Let there be space for not knowing. Let there be space for something new to emerge. It could be a sensation, it could be energy, new energy that you're feeling. I'm not saying a thought because that's what you're going to go to first. So let it be something other than a thought as you can. If it's a thought, that's fine too. Let there be space for something new to emerge. So I want you to notice here how you're not giving up anything. You're not giving up. You're fully engaged and alive, caring deeply, being cared for deeply. This is being fully engaged with life, just not attached. Here, you're not resigned, but instead you're trusting what's flowing through. You might feel it as feeling like all is well. You may not feel that, but you could still feel that there's life flowing here. Somehow it's well in some way that you don't need to have figured out. Like, give your brain a rest, give your mind a rest. Ah, it can be such a relief. So here you can be willing, more willing to listen and learn because you've got your center. It's like you're grounded, you're connected, you're rooted like a massive tree, while also balanced and in movement like a flowing river, connected, standing, moving. See what that kind of balance feels like. And I want you now to check in with your clear, wise mind, head, heart connected. You're from your center. And just what does it have to say about what may be more important than you've considered before? Just see what ideas might emerge from that question. And now ask your wise mind what you might bring forward, again, related to the situation that we've been swirling around, that is good and true for many and beautiful, where you could be lighthearted and playful, even when things are serious, like with money or hanging on to someone you deeply care about, where it feels scary. And so notice how much aliveness might be here, could be here, as you're letting go and curious, discovering new life and possibility in the midst of a little death, letting go like a little death. And then what else is here? What else? What little birth is here? And now simply notice what wants to emerge now that is new, that's a little birth, right? Here is the territory where our hopes and dreams can emerge from the depths of death and darkness, and like being like a peak of light beginning to come to life. This is how life constantly moves. So now I want you to just feel this as deeply and fully as you can, this letting go and allowing, accepting what is, letting new life come through, letting there be a letting go and a death and a birth in this moment. And if you want to get really pointed about this, let yourself take a breath in. That's new life. And take a breath out. And that's a death. Will there be another breath in? Yes, there is. That's new life. And a breath out is a little death. Notice the aliveness that is here, new, ever newing, through the cycle of death and birth. So go ahead and bring yourself out of this practice. Give yourself a moment to come out of this one, wiggling your toes, your fingers. Just bringing as much aliveness as you can with you as you're emerging out of the practice. And my invitation to you is to go ahead and carry this aliveness with you that you've tapped into through the rest of your day. And as you're going through your day, notice when you might be attached to an outcome and take a pause and see if you can let go, have a little depth, and notice what else might be possible in a little birth. All right. This was totally fun to share with you. I love this stuff. This kind of stuff I get to do with my clients. It's so very, very cool. Please add any comments or questions you have in the comments that are going along with this video. I would love it if you could like this event on LinkedIn or the video on YouTube. You could also follow us on IMX on LinkedIn or subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you'd like to learn more about letting go of attachment, check out our Define Your True Self course, where we teach you how to unhook from your reactivity, which is ultimately a letting go and a little death and a birth. So we go into it, this in the course. So thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was useful, and I wish you all the best. Take care.